Twilight spilled across the desert's expanse like vibrant paint, blending the day's fleeting gold with the deep hues of the approaching night. I walked alone, almost alone, for Kalen and Lyris had scattered on their surveillance missions, along a forgotten trail winding between dunes and jagged rocks. The air was cool and heavy, carrying the earthy scent of damp sand and the faint aroma of incense from past rituals. In that moment when day surrendered to dusk, I felt the universe conspiring to unveil a new mystery. The Twilight Fragment, the final piece which, once understood, could transform not only my own journey but the entire legacy of the East. My footsteps were accompanied by the rhythmic echo of phantom hooves, remnants of ancestral cavalry once marching to the fate of warriors long gone. The landscape, now steeped in magical half-light, revealed an uncanny dance of brightness and shadow. Elongated silhouettes cast by the sun's last flames and glints that flickered on the stone's worn surfaces. Every detail drew me into a meditative state, as if time itself had slowed. As I pressed on, memories of my recent trials resurfaced, rituals endured, battles fought against my own wounds, revelations that reluctantly forced me to honor the strength hidden within my scars. I had never been a conventional hero. I bore the marks of betrayal and the wounds of internal struggle. Yet in that singular twilight, I realized that pain and the power it held could fuse, heralding a new phase in my evolution. Arriving at an open plain, I discovered the remnants of an ancient stone road half swallowed by drifting sand. Here lay the traces of a civilization that once celebrated its triumphs, and yet succumbed to the relentless march of time. "Look over here, Varian," came a distant voice. I lifted my eyes and saw Darius emerging from the dusky shadows, his gaze sharp and analytical as ever. He spoke calmly, though with concern, of rumors about an abandoned fortress nearby, one said to shelter relics that might complete our quest. Part of me longed to focus solely on the fragment, symbolic of day's end and night's beginning, but I understood there was more to uncover in these sands. Each stone and faded inscription whispered stories of a time when the East shone with unrivaled brilliance.
Quick tip to level up your experience. Read Manhwas and light novels for free. Listen to epic audiobooks. Watch unlimited anime. Play cloud games with no console. And stream the best anime soundtracks. Check the description now and grab your free trials.
Drawn by the promise of discovery, I followed the old road to a towering stone wall etched with puzzling runes and symbols. The place radiated both sanctity and desolation. It felt frozen in time, preserving secrets of those who walked before us. As I studied the carvings, past and present blurred, rituals that had reshaped me collided with the sense that something momentous approached. From the fading light stepped Lyris, her form as swift and silent as a shadow at dusk. Our eyes met in unspoken accord. We must unravel the enigma before us. "Varian, this is the threshold between what was and what will be," she said, her voice calm but unwavering. "Every mark here points to an object of uncontested power." A tremor of emotion coursed through me. I'd always felt I didn't belong to the heroic ideal. My inner struggles taught me strength lay not in perfection but in forging weakness into weaponry. Here, at day's edge, I sensed I would find that weapon. Exploring a hollow in the wall, I discovered a natural alcove illuminated by the sun's final rays meeting the rising darkness. There, upon a ledge, lay an artifact glowing with shifting hues of amber and indigo, the Twilight Fragment. The piece was hypnotic, its form carved from some otherworldly substance, as if dusk had solidified into matter. It was more than a source of power. It embodied the duality of light and shadow, a challenge to transcend my own perceived limits. As I stepped forward, a voice hushed through the cavern. "Only one who embraces the imperfection of their soul may claim the Twilight Fragment." It felt as though the very rock had spoken, echoing ancient wisdom. Each syllable reminded me of the countless times I battled pain and loneliness. I knew that to proceed, I must confront my deepest fears and accept that my scars were part of my identity. When my fingers touched the fragment's cold surface, a bolt of silent energy coursed through me. The cavern seemed to hold its breath as the walls dissolved into visions. My father's stern face, the echoing cries of traitors, and the cold void of my own loneliness. Then the chamber plunged into utter darkness, and I felt a weight on my chest, as if 1,000 invisible chains were dragging me down. From that darkness, my own shadow detached itself into human form, a distorted mirror of me, its eyes blazing with rancor. Without a word, it raised a black dagger whose humming metal made the very air vibrate. Each footstep it took sounded like a hammer striking the steel of my resolve. On instinct, I drew my blade, gripping its hilt with all my strength. Our duel was not one of mere steel but of will against doubt, of light against darkness. The shadow lunged, and with every thrust I felt the burden of past failures, every broken promise, every lost friend. I answered not with blind rage but with the calm born of having accepted my entire journey. I sidestepped a lethal strike, feeling its cold edge slice the air beside me. Then I countered, a diagonal cut that glowed with my own energy, not the chill glare of vengeance, but the warm light of acceptance. Time stretched into an eternity as our blades met in that dust-laden hall. I felt our essences collide, darkness trying to pull me into the abyss, and I, a flare of resolution, refusing to yield. Raising my sword high, not to strike but to proclaim, I unleashed a trail of twilight light from my blade, enveloping both the fragment and itself in a luminous embrace. The shadow faltered, dagger wavering as the twilight energy pulsed around us. "I am the union of day and night," I declared, my voice rolling like a contained thunder. "My scars forged me, but they do not define me." At once, a burst of light swept through the cavern. The twilight fragment unleashed a beam that intertwined with the power of my words, dissolving the shadow into shimmering particles drifting away like falling stars. The silence that followed was so profound I could hear the earth's own heartbeat synchronize with mine. In my hands, the fragment now glowed in perfect balance, amber and indigo entwined, a symbol of the power won by facing every shadow of my soul. When the burst of twilight light finally faded, the silence that settled over the cavern was charged with newfound hope. The cave, once so cold and oppressive, now throbbed with a gentle warmth, as if each stone exhaled gratitude for having witnessed that moment of rebirth. The twilight fragment, held in my hand, was no longer merely an artifact of power, but the living symbol of all I had overcome, my scars, my losses, and, above all, my unwavering resolve to turn my own shadows into light. Lyra stepped forward without a word, her eyes reflecting both relief and reverence for what she had just witnessed. She reached out, touched the crystal gently, and whispered, "Now it shines not for the strength it grants, but for the truth it reveals." Moments later, Kalen and Darius appeared, their faces bearing genuine pride. Kalen spoke with steady authority. "This fragment carries the echo of your battles, Lucius. It will guide us through the darkest paths and remind us that true strength springs from embracing every part of ourselves." As I sheathed the fragment, I felt not only the weight of ancient power but the responsibility to serve as a beacon for all who strive to renew the East. Its soft glow illuminated my features, now etched not only with pain but with the courage of one who has embraced his whole self. Outside, twilight had become a tapestry of stars, the desert humming with the wind's silent song, as if heralding the end of one era and the dawn of another. I rode out to where my companions waited on the dune's crest. Kalen raised the fragment high so that every eye saw its light, and in the reflection of their gazes I saw hope kindled beneath the starlight. I addressed them, my voice blending strength and serenity. "Today, the twilight fragment becomes part of us all. It not only seals our victory but reminds us that our journey is far from over. Each of us carries our own darkness, but together we will forge a new legacy, where light and shadow are two faces of the same promise, that the East will rise stronger and more whole than ever before." Our allies' voices rose in a chant of renewal. In the distance, the first outlines of new buildings began to emerge, silent witnesses to a reconstruction rooted in the understanding that our imperfections are the bedrock of our strength. Beneath a moon climbing the clear sky, I felt complete for the first time, an heir who had embraced his pain and given birth to a greater hope. With the twilight fragment pulsing in sync with my heart, I rode toward the horizon, certain that though our road would be long, we were ready to forge it with the steel of our convictions and the renewed flame of our truth. As the first moment of night bathed the desert in violet and silver, I left the cave behind carrying not just the twilight fragment but a transformed conviction. Riding along trails that faded beneath starlight, each beat of my heart echoed the reminder that the secrets of dusk, the mysteries of transformation, now pulsed within my soul. I felt my path of redemption reborn. Though the scars of the past remained visible, they had become medals of resilience, and the shadow that once haunted me was now part of an inner power capable of forging a new tomorrow. Over time, I realized that the legacy of the East would not be raised by those who deny feeling, but by those who embrace the beautiful imperfection born of light intertwined with darkness. As the desert stillness deepened and the stars sketched arcs of hope across the heaven, I sensed an unusual peace, as though destiny itself whispered that, despite all betrayals and pain, a new twilight is always poised to dawn. With one last look back at those enigmatic walls that bore witness to my rebirth, I vowed, no matter how many fragments or challenges lie ahead, I will continue to forge my destiny, a destiny where the true essence of being rises, even when night feels most dense. And so, the fragment vibrating in harmony with the pulses of shadow and light, I, Lucius Varian, ride into the unknown, ready to transform every lingering shadow of the past into a beacon that will illuminate the future of the true legacy of the East.
Did you enjoy the video? Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us know which stories you love most and which ones we should prioritize in future productions. Your support is essential for us to keep bringing you the best manhwa content every day. See you in the next episode.